dude, we've been planning this for way too long.
We're here.
We're here. 100% here. I am like,
kind of surreal.
Isn't it amazing?
Something we talked about for a year and a half, a couple years back.
Well, then we did it, and then my health got all janked.
Correct. We did it. And when we did it, the original momentum was like, let's do it. Shot a couple, but have been able to kind of sit back from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Think on what we did right, what we did wrong, but now to have the opportunity with this setup.
Oh, it's amazing.
Is incredible.
Shout out to Church of Glad Tidings for letting us use the facilities. Absolutely incredible.
Shout out to GT. This space is incredible and a godsend.
So,
cheers, brother.
Everybody needs to know. So this is the Cam and Joe show?
This is the Cam and Joe show.
Why don't you go to that wide shot? Look at how beautiful. Look at that.
Come on now.
Man.
Look at that. With the mic and the Cam and the Joe.
Bro, I love it.
Established 2023.
So
let's rock and roll.
What
are we doing?
Let's talk about what we're wanting to accomplish, because I know and you know there are millions of podcasts out there.
There are.
And I like them.
Yeah,
I listen to way too much podcasts consistently.
Same.
So what would be something that, hey, someone wants to listen to this, what are we trying to accomplish?
I think our biggest thing is to find passionate people in any industry and highlight them.
Absolutely.
Because, gosh, just purely from a passion side, I would rather work with anybody that's passionate about anything than anyone in any industry who's just doing it for the sake of a job or a paycheck, right? That's just how I've been built, designed, and created. I'm an extremely excitable person. I'm an extremely passionate person. So when I get around people like yourself, who's just uberly passionate about business and about coffee and entrepreneurship and community, I just like, let me sink my roots into those relationships.
Absolutely.
Right? I want to dig deeper into the why behind people.
For sure.
And just, highlight individuals that are just grossly, uberly passionate about anything that they do.
Absolutely.
And I think when we are able to broadcast them, it's going to help in any industry that they're in, help them shine, help to shine a little light on what they're doing. And I mean, allow us to continue to rub shoulders with good people.
Absolutely.
I think that's the name of the game.
Oh, dude, for sure. Like for me, it's like looking at business and looking at the world as it is. I see social media, as amazing as it is, it takes away so much of our ability for this moment. And that's why I have my coffee shop. To me, it's these moments with people, sitting face to face, talking with them, getting to feel their
100%.
heart, resonating, like you were saying, with their roots, feeling the situation. And because even if it's the most, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is my experience, even if it's the most awful thing and you're yelling at each other, you can resolve it because you're in front of each other.
Absolutely.
And you're going, man, I don't want to hurt this person. And I think that's I think that's what's so necessary. Like these small businesses, people are like, well, why wouldn't I just go to Amazon? Well, I could give you 1,000 reasons why you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I also shop at Amazon. So there's that hypocrisy element.
Sure.
No, don't do that. It's like,
but you can show them a better way.
Oh, absolutely. I think that it's the balance of that. And I think it's community first, people that you know and love, supporting and surrounding each other.
Absolutely.
And I think that's not just a good community method. I don't think that's just a good morality or ethical method. But as a Christian, that is my belief.
Yeah.
We support each other.
100%.
My ceiling should be the floor for somebody else so that they don't have to struggle like I struggled.
Absolutely.
And get to where they need to go. That's what I see.
And from a connectivity standpoint, it's so easy. I'm thinking back to Pastor Doug was chatting about this Sunday before last. It's so easy to feel like you're on an island when you're going through anything, because naturally the way we're built, designed, and created, we're going to be like, okay, I'm going through this. Let me just put my blinders on. Let me just focus on getting through it versus, bringing your head up and realizing that everybody's going through something.
Absolutely.
You're not on an island.
Absolutely.
You're not alone. Whatever you're going through will get better, especially when you have community.
And
I feel like the more we can, sink our roots into others, we get stronger.
100%.
I mean, it's like a redwood tree.
Absolutely.
Solo, it's gonna fall down. But as soon as those redwoods start to sink their roots in and they get locked in with other root systems, they're stronger together. And
absolutely,
gosh, we are so very much built, designed, and created just like that, built for connection.
Yeah.
Right? We're going back to, why are we here? We're here on this earth simply to love on people.
Absolutely.
Period.
100%. And I think it's so easy to love people's passion. Like, people will always be like, you're just passionate. It's easy to find somebody that loves it and go, okay, man, my favorite thing ever. I don't know if you know this. So when I was like 7 years old, 6 years old, we used to go to an old folks home in Sacramento. My mom would volunteer. And I remember being 6 and 7, and we would go, and I would just sit there with elderly and go and talk to them.
Yeah.
And we would be playing checkers or something, and they were very sweet. And then I would ask them a question, be like, hey, so, why, what did you do? What did you used to do when you worked? And they would be like, oh, let me tell you. And it was, and I would just sit there in awe.
It was the highlight of their day, if not month.
And it was the highlight of my day because I was able to get that knowledge at such a young age. And I think it's the same thing. I think it's, we isolate, we're afraid. I think that everyone's afraid. And I think it's ignorant to think that we all isolate in our own way. It's just what we do.
Yeah.
And that's when community can hold that accountability, being like, hey, bro, you're isolating, you okay?
Yeah.
But if you're not ever see that person, if you never connect with them, if it's only Instagram, if it's only Facebook, if it's only...
It's watered down connection.
It's not even a connection. And I think that we're starting to see that so much more. And we're realizing how much people is what makes it.
People.
People.
Yeah.
People need people.
Going back to what you're saying about going through like a elderly community or a geriatric community.
Yeah.
When you did, and right now, like just as I sit here, because this is just how my brain works.
Yeah.
That right there, you just saying that makes me want to do that.
Absolutely.
Or get a group together to do that.
Yeah.
Because A, why not?
Absolutely.
B, it will feel great.
Yeah. And
C, they will love it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity, and I was chatting with somebody the other day about, and we'll get into Spark, the future nonprofit, and
in
a little bit. And somebody was chatting with me about, the passion behind starting Spark and the group of volunteers that we've been doing stuff collectively. And I was like, anytime I'm with a group, and anytime that group goes out and volunteers, whether we go clean up or we go and serve or we do something at the food bank, a distribution drive or a donation day, whatever.
Absolutely.
There's always individuals that come and do that for the very first time. And we're rubbing shoulders with each other and we're loving on people actively. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Being the hands and feet of Christ to the community.
100%.
So many people, believers or not, come up afterwards and they're like, that felt so good.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's because you're truly living in your very best purpose.
Absolutely.
Right now. You had no other agenda other than to connect and love on people. And they're like, wow, that felt so good. I'm like, that feeling, I'm a little addicted to. And I kind of have an addictive personality. So, I'm a junkie for loving on people. And I'm so okay with that. Yeah. Because if I had something calendared, maybe this is my goal for 2024. If I had something calendared every week of the year, 52 weeks. Yeah. If I have 52 real opportunities to connect with people, love on people, whether it's one day a month, a group of myself meet at a elderly folks home. One day a month, we're at the food bank cleaning up. One day, or one day a week, we link up with our friends at Say Love and do a trash cleanup, whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
And then you always have something that you're looking forward to. And there's just so much behind that psyche of when you have something to look forward to, it's easier to get through the mundane. Well, then if every day is just the same and the same and the same, and there's nothing that's pulling you out of that, you're going to go stir crazy. You're going to be pulling your hair out.
So why haven't you asked Steelhouse to cater coffee for those things? Because I'll totes bring out coffee for you.
I didn't know you had a coffee shop. I was kidding.
What? I do? Best kept secret on
Steelhouse. So the reason I love that name, let's see. So I'm in lending. I help people buy homes. Yep. Home is house. There you go. There's the house. And if only your last name was Steel. Wait, it is. It's the perfect name. Steel House. It's essentially Cam and Joe's show snuck in there.
It is.
With you're
not wrong.
You were so future minded,
bro,
when you created that.
Yeah, when my parents conceived me, they're like, it's
gonna be a podcast one day, like, 30 some odd years from
what's
now.
A podcast?
Exactly.
It's going to be people in a room.
Are you 89? Are you born in 89?
I was born in 89.
89.
You're 88, right?
88. Yeah. Late grade 88. Let's go.
We both graduated 2007. 007, man. I love that.
Shout out to the Crusaders. Bro. Shout out to New Life Christian, which is just awesome to hear that they've gone through this just incredible renaissance.
Sure.
And there was a period within a year and a half ago where they were waitlisted. I was like, no, you got the wrong school. I'm like, it's on the corner of J&R Boga and Oliver's.
Yeah.
There's a wait list.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, everybody and their mom trying to get in there. I'm like, and then I'm like, I'm a Crusader. Let's go. Like I had this like whole new renaissance.
That's amazing.
Sense of pride. It was so cool.
Absolutely,
so
man.
Cool. I love that.
So so I agree with you, man. We are not created to be here and to just focus on ourselves at all.
Period.
Like
100%.
I love ice cream. I look like
Where are you going with this? I don't know, but this is why I love you.
So I love ice cream, right? But if I take my favorite ice cream and I have it every single day, and all I do is eat that ice cream every single day, that becomes boring.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have to find a new favorite.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have to find the next thing. And half the time I look at internet trends the same way. I look at, oh, well, this is the cool thing. I have to have it. Mm. And in a marketing sense, yeah, it totally makes sense. They're like, I can keep on pumping out product. But as a personal sense, you go, oh, all I like is this one thing. Mm. But then how much better do you feel when you go, dude, this is my favorite spot. This is my favorite ice cream. You have to try this. And the person has it, and they have that moment.
Bro.
And they're like.
And you bring someone else to that?
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. And so that is like, we're meant to share our experiences. We're meant to share who we are. And that's what's important. It's, and that's why I brought up the ice cream, because it's so easy 100%. To go, like, I'm showing my kids. Okay, I'm super nerdy. If anybody listening doesn't know that I'm nerdy,
you're gonna learn today.
So Star Trek's like my favorite ever. I'm that kind of nerd.
Star Wars over Star Trek, but do your thing.
We can agree to disagree.
This is gonna be our last podcast, but go ahead.
Wow, very Sith of you. Only Sith speak in absolutes. So see, I know my crap. But so I went, dude, and I'm gonna show him 1966. I was like, if I'm gonna show it to him, I'm gonna show him the ham, the cheese, the ridiculousness. Yep. Kids are 6 and 9. So we put it on, and I put on the first episode, and I'm looking at them, and they're just kind of like staring at the TV.
Like, what's happening?
I'm getting nothing. Like, and it is a 45-minute long episode. Today, we found a person dead. And you're like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, and I know it's a slow burn type of a thing.
Well, and a 6 and a 9-year-old, they're like, Dad, what's happening?
So but they're watching the TV, and I'm like, they're gonna hate this. They get done, they're like, Lukey comes up to me. It's my youngest. He goes, Dad, can we watch more? That was the coolest thing I've ever seen. I was like, yes.
And you brought someone to a passion of yours.
Exactly.
It's like watching one of your favorite movies.
Yep.
Like I love
100%.
I love so many movies.
Dude,
we can do a whole podcast
on just movies.
Top 10 movies.
I know.
But let's say I'm watching Gladiator, right? And if I'm watching Gladiator, I'm enjoying it.
Absolutely.
If I get to show Gladiator to someone for the first time,
you love it 10 times more.
Right?
Yep.
And in the sea, like, are you not entertained? And I look over at them, and they're just like, I'm just like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's better when you can bring people into your passions.
Well, it's also like a horror film. You watch that by yourself, it may be scary. You watch it with a group of people, and it's hilarious. And it's
wonderful.
It's the best part, because you're not scared, but you're laughing at and you're like, oh yeah, now that guy's gonna die. And everyone's like, yeah, he's totally gonna die.
In the same way, bringing people into your passions, in the same way that when I'm rubbing shoulders and connecting with individuals and volunteering, and afterwards,
100%.
in the same way that your son said, man, that was awesome.
Yep.
Hearing after we go out and volunteer, gosh, that felt so good. And
absolutely.
I'm like, right?
Yeah.
Right? Didn't that feel amazing? Wasn't that probably the best part of your day?
Yep.
You can go off and you can go back to work and make your money and do your thing.
Yeah.
But if you can find ways to allow your profitability and your passion to rub shoulders, it's one thing. If you can purely find a way to just completely unplug with no other agenda other than to just be 100% present and 100% available to love on people and volunteer in whatever capacity you will, you're just going to get so much out of it. And it's at an anatomical level, you will just feel refreshed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, from an addiction standpoint, when you get addicted to that,
there's way worse addictions.
Yeah, there are things. There are way worse things I'd be addicted to, but being addicted to loving on people and looking for opportunities to bring people with me and bring people with us
100%.
Is just something that I've always just been uberly passionate about.
Absolutely.
I mean, and think about when you're talking about favorite ice cream. When I think of ice cream, I think of Brock's.
Absolutely.
Brock's.
100%,
I think of my kids.
Yeah.
And I think of Beckham and Maddie wanting to play the claw game, and me spending probably triple the amount of money on the claw game, on the claw game, than I ever did on the ice cream. But yeah, we go there for the ice cream.
Absolutely.
And yeah, the ice cream's obviously delicious, but
the memories.
I'm bringing people in.
Yeah. And those memories become the memories that you remember the most with somebody. Like, as much as I don't remember the bad times.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to with certain things. But like when I'm hanging out with somebody, especially if we're in, like, if you haven't seen somebody in like 5-6 years, you're not going to be like, remember that time you owe me $5? Like, you're not going to bring that up.
No.
Because you don't care. Because in the end, that doesn't matter in the relationship. And if that is what is protruding out of you, then you're not going to even have the conversation with the person.
Yeah.
Right? I think that it's so funny how when I look back at any memories with people and friends, if I'm still connected with them, I don't think of the bad times. And when I think of like the highlight moments, it's always like, oh man, remember that time? We're like, and that's the thing. I mean, what people may not know, we've been friends since 2nd grade.
Yep.
So we have a lot of moments like that. So like when I see a text from Cameron, I just go, my brain goes, oh wait, I should text him back. Like, because that's how it is. And I think that,
give me some love.
Love you too, man.
Love you too, bro.
I think that we allow ourselves to we allow our brain to overpower us with things we can't control.
Yeah.
There's so many things we can't control.
Nailed that.
And what happens is we look at it, and that's what social media does really well. You start looking at all these things, and you can't control how all these things happen, and you can't control all these other things. But you look at it, and you feel like everybody else is controlling it.
Yeah.
And then you feel this insecurity, and you're like, well, I'm the only one that feels that way. No. Like, if I want to ruin my day, I pull up social media. No, like, as much as it's useful for marketing.
No, I use it like a tool.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard somebody say the other day, I believe it was on a podcast, it's like if you're watching somebody else's life on social media and you're thinking the grass is always greener, it's probably turf. And I was like, oh man, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's if their grass is always green, it's probably turf. It's probably fake.
Yeah, but I think we see the whole world through that screen though. And we see everything through that screen
now.
Yeah, and I think that we need to just figure it out and connect with each other and build a community. So that's why I'm super excited for interviewing people and getting crap
get
going.
Actual people to actually connect.
Yeah.
Not just on Zoom. Oh man, yeah, because in my industry, in real estate and in finance and in mortgage, we went through going through COVID, it digitized everything.
Yep, absolutely.
So every meeting was Zoom and everything was text or email or phone call. And like, I'm not built for that.
Well, you also noticed everyone, when that happened, started becoming less, I don't want to say tolerant because I don't feel like it's the right word, but less kind. And you could feel like it was like this permeating atmosphere that there was so much predisposed judgment of hatred ready to throw at somebody because so much was out of their control. Somebody had to be blamed for it. And if you were the person that was in front of them at the moment when they had that thought, you were the one getting it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a malicious thing as much as it was, I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It made me think more like a baby, right? That's hungry and it doesn't know what words to say, so it would just cry. That's what I felt when COVID hit. I felt like it was this.
Yeah, everybody was pent up with nowhere to go and
no one to be around.
Opposite of connection, and then suicide rates shot skyward. And I'm like, of course they did.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Of course they did.
Yeah,
if we're built, designed, and created for connection, and all of a sudden you can't connect and you can't go to church and you can't do this and you can't do that.
Yeah.
And like, wow.
And then it's just work, home. When you're at home, you're working.
Yeah.
And then when you're up, you're at home.
Yeah.
I know, I get it.
Terrible recipe.
So yeah, I think that we have the ability as humans to invest into each other in such a way. Someone I like to listen to, they talk about gains, future gains. And the best way to get future gains is to invest in yourself and negotiate with yourself tomorrow.
Absolutely.
So what you do today,
I love that.
You may go, man, I have $5. This is great. But I really want this thing over here. That's $5. That would be really good. But that one thing I want is going to last for a month and it's going to be gone. If I take that $5 and I put it into something else that I also like, that will invest later on into me, then me in the future is going to be happy that I did that.
Correct.
And I see that.
Dude, that's how relationships work.
That's 100% everything. Everyone wants everything just to be given to them right away. That's not how it works. Relationships, rapport, trust, honor. I don't hear anybody talk about trust and honor. I don't hear anybody.
Especially not quick, because those things are earned with time. But we're in society. We're in microwave society and instant gratification society. And if you make a video, you better catch them on the first half second, or they're scrolling past it. Society. So,
well, then
which
it's
is
also
the opposite of connectivity and friendship and depth.
I would also say our value systems have shifted. Our value systems went from this and honoring each other and being friends. And it was so honoring to be the friend of somebody who made it. Now, if I don't make it, why are we friends type of a thing. And it's so toxic. It's like, you got more likes than me. We can't do this. And it shouldn't be the case. It's like, you sold more coffee than me. It's like, that is so petty in so many ways. The reality is it's the relationships we build every day. Because as much as I love coffee, to me, it's a means for community. That's it.
When you were originally starting Steelhouse,
and
you guys just had your 6-year anniversary, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
When you guys were originally starting it, did you see it? Because yes, there's the profitability side and supporting your family.
100%.
Side. What was the biggest why behind coffee, and the biggest why behind getting the brick and mortar space?
So, let's go back to where I was at. So I just finished doing the movie with your brother, and that took a lot of time. And I was on kind of like this high because it was a 3-year project, and I finished. I was like, oh my gosh, we can do anything. And I remembered when me and Regina were dating that she told me she wanted to have a place where people could come and feel loved and feel welcomed. That was it. She goes, I just want a place. And I remember I was 19 at the time. She's older than me. She was 22, which I think is hilarious. I always tell people she came to the park with candy, and I was like, okay. She hates that joke, so I'm probably gonna get slapped for it.
I like it.
But I literally saw, and so she told me that, and I remembered that. I was literally praying, going, God, I don't know what the next season is gonna look like. I can't continue in the medical field. It's sucking the soul out of me. When you're around people that are dying in disease all the time, you can't do it, man. It just sucks life. So I said, I need something else. So I was doing film as the substitute. I was doing these other things, and so I just remembered, oh, Regina, she said she wanted to open a spot. So I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, maybe a coffee shop. So then, I'm not kidding. I literally going to church to hang out. We're doing some prayer. As I'm going there, I'm like, somebody make some coffee? I was like, I didn't make any coffee. I was like, no one's made any coffee? They're like at like 8 this morning, but they haven't made coffee since. We're looking at like 6, 7 at night. And I was like, okay. And every conversation I had for 2 weeks straight was about coffee, not because I would bring it up. Be like, oh man, you see what happened in the basketball game? And I was just like, so man, I was thinking coffee would, and I'm like,
where did that go?
What? Seriously? And it kept coming up. And so I was like, okay, God, I get it.
I get it.
Okay, I get it.
Thank you for the less than subtle nudges.
Oh man. Well, I'm dense. Ask my wife. I need less than subtle dense. So we go out on a hike. We go up to Tabletop, and we go to the falls out there. So we're walking out there, and I'm like, I'm hyping myself up. I'm like, I need to talk to her. I need to talk to her. But you know, you probably have experienced this. It is more intimidating to bring up something to your wife than it is anybody else. Like I could tell somebody else something, and they'd be like, "That's stupid." I'd be like, "All right." I tell my wife, and she's like, I'm like, "Is she think I'm like dumb?
Yeah."
She's gonna look at me like, really? You're that kind of person?" Freaking out.
It's nerve-wracking. Well, I think despite who it is, it's nerve-wracking bringing up a new concept to anyone. Because like you spoke on earlier, it's fear.
Oh, 100%.
And instantly, if it's a new idea or a fresh idea, it's fear of failure. Right. So you have to try to organize your thoughts and be methodical and like, this is why I think this makes sense. Versus just like, hey, this is something we're both passionate about. Let's do it. How was that reciprocated? How did that conversation go?
Well, my wife is a thinker, and she's an introvert.
That's one of y'all. Okay, go ahead.
So, so I literally I'm in the car, and if you go up there, there's no reception. So my my phone wasn't getting any tunes going. We had no radio. I was like, oh, so I was like, hey.
Forced to connect.
So I was like, hey, so I was totally thinking about this crazy thing and coffee. And so I brought up the whole thing. She goes, oh, let me think about it. Right then. And then there's no radio. So then I'm driving in the car with an awkward silence for 15 minutes. The longest 15 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
And then she goes, I think we're supposed to do it. So then we go, okay. So then I go to, and this is how it works with me. So if like, for me personally, if God tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. But then if something happens and I agree with another person, I like to have a third agreement. To me, it's a 3-strand cord type of thing. I don't want to. Yeah, man. It's just stronger. And so I want to, okay, if you want me to put my finances, my savings, we're putting all this stuff into the idea of building a coffee shop. I went to my mother and I said, hey, which is one of the most prayerful people I know. She literally prays like 12 hours a day.
Shout out.
She sleeps and prays.
Yep.
I laugh. I'm like, how do you do that?
Yep.
I know I snore and I'm probably yelling. I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it. Get myself canceled. First podcast and they're canceled.
And there they went.
So I asked her, it's like, hey, can you pray about this? I feel like God's telling me to do this. I told my wife and she feels like she's supposed to do it too. She feels like it's God. Can you pray? Next day, she wakes up. She's like, it is. You're supposed to do it. It's going to bless the community. It's going to bless you. And it's going to.
She just had that much clarity on it.
Overnight, bro. And she's like, God told me it's going to be exactly what you need. And it's going to turn you into the man you're supposed to be.
Wow. Amen.
Well, if that's the case, then why would I say no?
Yeah.
So then we started the plan. We got partnered with lots of amazing people. Malcolm, incredible guy, showed us a lot of the coffee ropes, got everything started. French toast latte is actually his recipe.
Nice.
He knocked it out of the park. But then he showed us how to create the regimens. And so we started creating our own drinks and had a lot of fun. So much learning, bro. First business I ever did that was not just me doing camera work. And so there were months where I was like, okay, hey, everybody, I'm going to be working like 70 hours and you might want to find another part-time job because I can't give you more than X.
Yeah.
Those were real conversations that we had. But the nice thing I noticed in situations like that, people were always graceful. And so as we continued to do that, we became more part of the community. We were doing trivia night, open mic night, family board game night, because we're like, community, this is a place for you. And then throughout time, you fall in love and you fall out of love with your passions. There's moments you just want to throw it out the window. How many times have you like started doing finances and you're like, calculator?
Bro, yeah. It can be in the middle of a busy month or a slow month and you just looked at one too many pay stubs or W-2s and you're like, I just want to slam my computer down out of monotony.
Yep. And so we've survived. I mean, surviving COVID, surviving our AC went out first summer. Our AC went out for 6 weeks. And we still made it through. Like there's so many things that should have shut down our business, but because of like adaptability.
It wasn't you just trying to sell more iced coffees. It wasn't like just like,
not when you're like, hey, get here in the morning and then come here late in the evening.
Yeah. We'll be closed from 2 to 5 because we're melting.
No, we literally closed. We're like, we're closing at 1. Oh. Sorry.
Yeah.
We get our AC fixed.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff like that. And like, you know, this is surprising news. We're working on getting our subscription service. I'm almost done with the website to get our subscription service up so people can get Steelhouse at home.
It's awesome.
So like, to me, it was like I start looking at how everything lines up and I start seeing the chips. And it's like, as much as I hated the hospital, the 10 years being there, it gave me a compassion for people and an understanding of physical broken.
Bro.
Right? When you see somebody physically broken, you see somebody in a wheelchair, you see somebody having a hard time. When you get to help them, and that was the thing, like I got to weigh out this thing. The emotional stress, high, but I was helping people and getting to love them right where they were at. And it was so reciprocated in such a beautiful way.
And you were able to bring that right into what you do now.
Right into coffee.
In the same way from going from the fitness industry and working as a personal trainer into more the financial sector.
Absolutely, man.
And I love it. I love when a first-time buyer comes in and they just like throw everything out on the table and then we're able to like sort through and I'm able to just like love them through the process.
Absolutely.
Like anything, but buying a house can be extremely overwhelming, right?
What?
But I'm thinking, I'm built for this because when you're a personal trainer for somebody who's struggling with their weight or dysphoria or their anorexia or
Yep.
anything like that they're going through,
Yeah.
they're going to be breaking down.
Yeah.
So when you're chatting with your personal training client, they can be warming up on the treadmill, and then as soon as you get over there with them, hey, how's your morning going? We're going to start to do, and then they just look at you and their eyes already shrink up. You're like, okay, let's go in the PT office and let's just chat for a second. And then the whole 30-minute session of working out,
Yeah.
you just become a therapist, and
Yep.
they just decompress.
Yep.
Right. And there we are. Just we were supposed to have been doing whatever, chest and shoulders for 30 minutes, but they leave so much lighter
Yeah.
because they were in a space where they're able to bring everything to the table. Like
When-
come as you are.
When did you start? So I know, okay, I've known you forever. So,
Yep.
but when did you start working out? Because I remember all of a sudden I was like, hey, it's Cameron. And I was like, oh, snap, it's Cameron.
Wow.
Like, I don't
love you.
remember.
I think I started getting a lot more passionate into the fitness industry.
Yeah,
I mean, you and I are both growing up, we were both big into athletics, but I think
absolutely.
more in like the fitness side when I was at Sac State.
That makes sense.
Yeah, started at Sac State in let's see, we graduated 07. In 07 and early 08, I was in Australia for those 6-7 months.
That was amazing.
When I started at Sac State as a freshman in I think 09.
Yeah.
I actually graduated in 13. I started working out regularly. I took one of the very first classes I took was intermediate weightlifting.
Nice.
And then from there, like seeing how somebody programs
Yeah.
from the ground up
Sure.
and learning from retired Olympic coaches and now
That's crazy.
NCAA Division I powerlifting coaches.
Nice.
I'm just like, wow. And then that just kind of that launched me into the realm of, all right, so if somebody comes to you with X, Y, and Z problem,
Yep.
you can not fix them so much so, but you can
Solution.
definitely find solutions for them and,
Yeah.
and get them to a better spot if you diagram out their workout program
Absolutely.
and their nutritional program. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Right. So in the same way, and a lot of people are like, man, going from fitness to finance, that's a huge change. I'm like,
Nope,
it's not,
it's not.
because in the same way that as a personal trainer, somebody would come to me and say, hey, I'm struggling with A, B, and C,
Mhm.
and I want to get to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That is my day-to-day
Yeah.
as a lender. Somebody comes to me with let's just say the problem or future solution or whatever of A, B, and C. And A is my credit is this, my savings is this, and my
Yeah.
work history is this.
Yep.
And okay, what is your end goal? You're trying to buy an investment property. You're trying to put a
Yeah.
roof over your family's head.
Yep.
You're trying to find a spot that you guys can just sink your roots into the community. That's the X, Y, and Z.
Absolutely.
Bring me the A, B, and the C, and I'll
Line
work
it.
out the rest of the letters.
Yep.
We'll work out the rest of the letters together. But that just scratches such a deep itch for me.
Yeah.
And it's so similar from the fitness side.
Yeah.
Going from a personal trainer, meeting with those individuals that are broken and hurting, whether it's a
Yep.
bodybuilder that has just and you pull back the layers a little bit, and
Yeah.
some of these guys and some of these gals
Yeah.
that look physically like they have it all together, you get in a room with them and close the door, and they're just breaking
Yeah.
down
Absolutely.
about like all the pressures of the world on them, and
Yeah.
they have to look a certain way in front of this person.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, gosh, like let's get back to, we're trying to better ourselves, and we're trying to better ourselves for ourselves from a longevity standpoint. We're trying to
Yep.
better ourselves from a real estate or lending standpoint. You're investing in yourself anytime you acquire real estate, right? That's
100%.
what it is. So if you strip it down to its organic form, these individuals are coming to you for help.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Meet them where they're at.
Absolutely.
Love on them, encourage them. And sometimes
Yep.
when somebody brings me the A and the B and the C and the credit is, let's just say, less than
Yeah.
par, right?
Yeah. Listen.
And they've had, multiple job changes, so on and so forth. And I hear these stories and it breaks my heart, but people will come to me and they're like, oh yeah, I chatted with so-and-so, and now they're just defeated and
Yep.
they've got no path forward. And I'm like, no, come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I already met with a lender. I'm like, come in.
Yeah. Let's
Come
talk.
in. Let's talk. Let's
Create a game
figure
plan.
out. Let's figure out a game plan. And then when they leave and they're excited and they have that spark back, I'm like, I did my job.
Absolutely.
I did my job today.
I think that's the most. I think that's the most deflating things, and I think that, and you can always be kind.
Yeah.
I think that that's something that we don't realize. You can always be kind,
Ought to.
even if you don't know. You can be kind. That was something that always bothered me in the medical field, because you would have two sides. You'd have the person that was either so kind they never created the proper structure and
Yeah.
gave them the boundaries so that they could be better. It's like, hey man, I don't know how to tell you this, your knees are going bad. But then, and they're like, oh man, and like, have a good day. And you're like, well, that doesn't help them. No. Oh, your knees are going bad. Here's a here's a specialist, but here's also some regimen things. We'll have a nutritionalist come in. We're going to talk about that. 100%. What your diet's like. We get you some fish oils. We'll help you lubricate back up your leg. Yeah. Stuff like that, because
meeting them where they're at.
Yeah.
And helping them with their path forward.
And I think that it's easy to say, it's a difficult practice. And I think that's what separates businessmen, business peoples. Is that probably the proper term?
Sure.
But that's what separates business people from other people. Because business that lasts a long time is because the relationships and because of how they're perceived by people and how they've actually invested back into those people.
100%.
You know, and I like, it's so easy just to say, you're stupid. You need to figure your crap out. Why would you come to me and waste my time? And that's such this entitled privilege.
Or quick advice. It's like quick advice falls on deaf ears.
Yeah.
When I'll have a client that comes to me and they're like, oh, I met with so-and-so lender and he said X, Y, and Z. I'm like, that's great. You could have Googled that as well.
Yeah.
So like now that you know the goal, how are you putting it?
Yeah. What are you doing to achieve it?
He's like, oh, well, he told me to save $15,000 and da-da-da. I'm like, okay, well, did he go over your monthly budget with you so you can figure out where you can save and
how
what liabilities you need to pay off and which aren't important to pay off? Well, no. I'm just like,
all right, come on.
Come in. I'm making coffee. Just come in.
Yeah.
And then when they leave, just refreshed. It's like,
well, because they have a game plan.
Leave. I think I put this on Facebook a year or two ago. Maybe it's original. I'll have to Google it.
Give it a Google.
Leave anything and everything better than it was when you got there.
Yep.
Person, place, or thing.
Absolutely.
So anyone that you come in contact with.
Yep.
Again, going down to why are we here?
Absolutely.
Anyone that you rub shoulders with, anyone you connect with.
Yeah.
Love on them.
Yeah.
Seek to connect with them.
Absolutely.
You don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
No.
You don't know what they're going through.
Nope.
You could literally save a life by being genuine and being kind and looking at them in the eyes and listening to them and looking at the little simple laws of averages.
Oh, yeah.
2 ears, one mouth. Pretty sure God wanted us to listen twice as much as we're supposed to speak.
What'd you say?
Yeah, right?
Well, you know, okay. So you remember in high school. So remember I went through my band phase.
Yep.
I miss it, bro. I miss it so much. Like there's so much to miss. But there's a song that we wrote called, what was it? Somebody Save Me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an actual suicide letter. So a friend of mine was going to commit suicide. And they came up to me right after, like at lunchtime. They're like, hey, no one likes me. I'm going to commit suicide. And I was like, what? And I was like, I've talked with boom, 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 boom. Nobody cares. And I was like, don't commit suicide. So I spent lunch literally with this person. You can't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
There's so much value in who you are. You beautifully, wonderfully made. There's so much in you that's important. And there's so much that can blossom out of you.
Correct.
And if you stop the seed now, it will never root itself.
Yeah. Never bear fruit.
And I was just like having this conversation and I could just see it wasn't me reaching through. And so I'm like, okay. So I see him leave and I can't let it go. So I think I was sitting in the back. I probably got in trouble in the Spanish class because that was the next class. And I sat there and actually wrote a letter about you're amazing. Don't let these things get to you. And I said this pain, it's gonna leave, right? And I wrote this whole letter and I gave it to her, and she read it. And like I gave it to her after we were leaving school. She's like, I'm going to kill myself. And I handed it to her. I said, just read this before you do anything. And I was up late just praying, going, God, help this person. There's no, this can't be, like, you need to show up, right? This is not a situation where you can't show up. So the next day I go to school, you know, I'm, hey, everybody, hey, how's it going? And I'm like, and then I got a pit in my stomach because I don't know if I'm going to see this person again. And I know that here's the thing. And I know from my own experience, I also know that this happens all the time in schools, and it's people just ignore it. And I think it's because.
And then when it happens, they're like, oh, they seemed so happy all the time.
Oh my gosh.
They seemed like they had it all together.
So I see her get dropped off, come out, and I was like, oh, she comes up to me and she takes the letter. She's like, this stupid letter, I can't stop reading it.
Saved my life.
And so I was like, well, you know, it's true, right? And so from that moment, I mean, I saw her. I've seen her a couple times since then, but like that letter kept her going. So I used the lyrics from that. I used that and made a song called Things I Don't Deserve. We were playing at churches, man. I was a Christian guy. I was playing Christian rock bands, but I had kids around the block coming to the table because I would be like, hey, you're loved, you're valued, you're welcome.
Yeah.
People, there's value in who you are. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. You're awesome. You want to talk more about it. If you're struggling with suicide and all this stuff, come to my table. I'm not talking about being at a bar.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about being at a hospital, at churches, and I had a line of kids.
You create the space where it's welcome.
Yeah.
And where having difficult conversations is commonplace.
Yep.
And we all need that.
Absolutely.
We all need that.
We all need to have that person to go, hey man, it's good to see you. Like, hey, how are you?
If they don't in their life, be it.
Yep, absolutely. Be the change.
Period.
You have to.
Be that individual.
Yeah.
It's a great calling.
And so like that is kind of the beginning of like, and I still love art, film, music, and all that stuff, but my heart for people, giving a place for people to talk, to me is the number one suicide prevention thing you can do. I love how people are like, talk with somebody you love today, and all they do is post that instead of sending that text message, instead of posting it on social media. Why don't you just send a text message and go, hey.
If you love Jesus, you'll share this 3 times by midnight.
And if you don't, Satan will be knocking at your door. It's like, come on.
Yeah, good times.
So yeah, I don't want to end it on a bummer note at all.
Not at all.
But
we are creating a space for people to connect.
Absolutely.
We're creating a space, a safe space where we can have tough conversations, great conversations, but gain depth into each other.
100%.
Because again, like those redwood trees, as we continue to sink our roots into each other, we get stronger.
So
that's where I want to be.
I agree. 10,000 bazillion %. I mean, that's why
I like that percent.
I mean, that is why
10,000 bazillion.
Absolutely. That is why in doing this and wanting to get this up, that's why we've kept our relationship live for so long, because we've had so much rapport and experience with each other for so long.
100%.
And we've connected in that way that I want to share that connection with other people.
Yeah.
And
bring more into the fold.
Yeah. And just let them know, hey, because there's no doubt when I look at you, there's no doubt that I know that you love me and that I love you
100%.
and that we're brothers, right?
Yep.
There's no doubt in my mind. So if I bring in somebody else in, they're instantly going to feel part of the fam.
Yeah.
Right? Instantly. They're not going to question that. And so if you're listening to this, and give me nuts, bro. I love you, man.
Love you too.
If you're listening to this, you're watching it and you're like, man, I love what they're talking about. I want to be a part of it. You gotta send a message to us. I'll be putting a link where you can send an email about contacting us, about getting on the podcast so we can talk with you, interview you, hear your passions, hear what makes you tick.
Yeah.
I promise we won't talk as much, even though it's a podcast.
We won't talk as much just about us.
Exactly. And then
focus will be you.
Yeah. So we want to do that. But then if you also like this and you want to support, and you know somebody who needs lending, Cameron, go ahead. This is you. This is our podcast has been brought to you by
podcast brought to you by Steelhouse Coffee and Cameron Elkins Guild Mortgage. No, if you are an individual and you are looking to convert that housing expense from an expense to an investment, and you're going from renting a property to wanting to own a property and put that roof over your family's head, reach out to me. And my 6th year in mortgage lending, it's something I'm, if you can't tell, just grossly passionate about.
Absolutely.
And that's because I have a passion for helping people. It seemed to have translated pretty well in lending. So
absolutely.
I'm blessed.
And if you're thirsty and you'd like a cup of coffee.
If you're thirsty and if you like a good cup of coffee, Joe made me this cup right before we started and I drank it way too fast.
I know.
It was just so good.
So
you need to go get out of your, if you're listening to this and you're in the Starbucks line or some other major corporation coffee out of some other place like Seattle, get out of line. Get out of that line. And I'm not even going to tell you to just go to Steelhouse. Just go support a mom and pop
100%.
shop, period.
And he won't tell you to support Steelhouse, but I will. So what you need to do is you need to go to Steelhouse Coffee.
I will, because I do.
And you need to just create a date with somebody. Call somebody you haven't talked to within a bit. If you have business or you have a relationship, whatever, come to Steelhouse. Yeah. We have the community vibes for you.
Absolutely.
Fresh roasted coffee. We have our own roasts that we're doing. Homemade syrups that I'm making from scratch.
And they're delicious.
I do the minimal amount of preservatives in the syrups. That way it's as organic and fresh as possible.
It smelled incredible from the time I walked in here.
So we want to take care of your your health, but part of that is the relationships, and we want to be that for you. We actually have a subscription service that will be going live here shortly, if it hasn't gone live already, because backdating podcasts.
Yep.
So we'll have links below for contacting Cameron. We'll have links below for Steelhouse Coffee, and we'll have a link below so that you can let us know if you want to be a part of this.
Connect with us. We'd love to connect with y'all.
It's amazing, bro. Love you, man.
Love you, bro.